Happy birthday, Gary.
Thanks. You are so early, Elle. You're 362 days early.
I'm so glad that you just told me that it was your birthday
Uh-huh.
3 days ago.
Well, friends should know these things.
Welcome to the Elle Duncan Show. I'm really glad we're starting right there, actually, because I am really bad at remembering friends' birthdays. In fact, I have a friend, a really good friend. She's been a friend for almost 20 years. And she knows that I always feel bad about missing birthdays, but she also knows that I'm going to do nothing about it to change it. So
Correct.
she will text me the day before her birthday and go, "Hey, girl, I know you're going to be upset with yourself if you don't text me. So I'm just reminding you that tomorrow is my birthday."
Wait, that's
It's
actually like level 300 type stuff. I should have hit you up on Saturday and was like, "Yo, Elle, I don't want you to feel awkward about this because we're gonna have a pod 3 days later and you're gonna say that you forgot my B-day." But now
Yeah.
I know for next year, the big 3-9. I know for a fact Elle Duncan is not missing Gary's big 3-9 next January 11th.
Yeah, it's a real milestone birthday too. I should probably just put it in my calendar, but I won't. A part of me hates when people sort of do that. Like it'll be like 8 in the morning and they're posting on Instagram, like, "Thank you for the birthday wishes." Like,
Damn.
A, no one's been wishing you a happy birthday at 8 a.m. B, you just want to tell everyone that it's your birthday. And that's okay. Like you want everyone to flood your comment section with, "Yay,
No.
it's my birthday." But ultimately, I also appreciate those people because they give me the warning that it is, in fact, their birthday.
Correct. And I'm sort of on the in between, L. I am sort of one of those people who when people tag me on Instagram, "Hey, happy birthday," I'm like, dang it. I don't want it to be like me, but I also would feel like a jerk if I didn't repost the story post. It's a lose-lose situation
It
from
really is.
somebody who like doesn't want to be that guy that looks like he's got the freaking Morse code on top of his Instagram story, but I also don't want to be the guy who ignores the story and then next year this person's going to be like, "Yo, screw Gary. I wished him a happy birthday publicly last year and he didn't repost." It's a lose lose, L.
Can there be like a reborn day? Because I feel like if there could be, Sam Darnold would probably need to celebrate that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Care Bear, we're reacting on this Tuesday morning to Monday Night Football, the final playoff game of the wild card round, and things
Yeah,
went mostly chalk. I mean, honestly, the Commanders technically pulled an upset,
correct.
but like, did they? Right? Like,
Yeah.
great win for them. I honestly thought that Tampa could actually, make some noise in the postseason just because they'd beat the Eagles, they'd beat Detroit. They were the only team to beat them both. But the Commanders, man, Jayden Daniels has been incredible. So mostly it went pretty chalk and what we, expected. Yesterday, though,
Yeah.
Sam Darnold turning into a pumpkin
Yeah. It
a
was bad.
week after revealing that he was going to turn into a pumpkin. God, dude. I mean, do you know another sort of story that was shaping up to be this incredible comeback type of story that just fell off the cliff the way that it did? I mean, the way Sam Darnold started out the season
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to how he ended it is just so wild to me.
Front half of the NFL season, you remember on SportsCenter talking about it because I certainly remember on SportsCenter talking about it that Sam Darnold in the first, okay, I would say third of the season was like, hey, he's going to win an MVP. He was leading the league in rating. He was leading the league in completion percentage. I think at that point he was leading the league in touchdowns. And we were really having a conversation, I think, through October that Sam Darnold, like, all he needed was a system, and Kevin O'Connell's system was the one that was going to nurture this talent that we saw Sam Darnold at USC that places like New York and Carolina simply couldn't because he was finally underneath a program that was built for quarterbacks like him. So Sam Darnold was about to make JJ McCarthy this like wasted 10th overall pick for Minnesota because the Vikings were going to have to extend this dude multiple years because he's playing at an MVP level. And then the tail end of the season happened. I think a lot of people expected Sam Darnold to have a game like Jayden Daniels had a game in Tampa Bay. This guy who we don't and we shouldn't expect too much from, yet still was going to will his team hell or high water to a win.
I just, dude, You talk about two guys in Sam Darnold and Russell Wilson, who just a
Hmm.
few weeks ago had played themselves into big money.
Yes.
I mean, Sam Darnold in particular, he's a free agent in Minnesota. And you said it, the conundrum with JJ McCarthy. We spent the whole year saying that, like, wow, imagine that the answer was their backup and Sam Darnold all along, and da 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 da. And how do you navigate this? And how do you bring him in? And all these teams are going to want Sam Darnold, and he's about to make $40 million a year. And oh my God, this is so amazing. This man was seeing ghosts in New York. And now here he is. And in 8 days, Gary, he cost himself hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Like, it is wild. And then you sort of hear some of the, if you're reading the tea leaves, Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, reacting yesterday and saying things like, Sam will always hold a special place in my heart and stuff like that. This is over. Like, any
Already, he's
question
already
as to
speaking of him in the past.
done,
He's already
done.
looking in the rear view, bro.
He's already like, I so appreciate everything you did for us, and I'll
Yeah.
reflect on that years from now when you're no longer a Viking anymore. I mean, it's clearly it didn't work out. Kevin O'Connell's like, I appreciate Sam Darnold, but this did not work out in the end. And that is, if you're JJ McCarthy, I think you're feeling great because you know that you have a team capable of going to the postseason.
Yeah.
The thing is that Sam Darnold was playing like this is not a mirage. And I see a lot of people who were doing victory laps about, Sam Darnold at the beginning of the year saying that they thought he'd be a great fit in Minnesota. I see them now having to do some, defense of their gloating, if you will, a few weeks back. This was not a mirage. He was playing that well. He was instrumental. He wasn't just playing well, he was instrumental in their wins. And there was always something in the back of my mind every time it was time to pick a Vikings game that was like, but Sam Darnold is always flirting with disaster a little bit, right? Like there was just games where I would still see Sam and be like, you are really trying your hardest to throw a duck. The defense is just not acquiescing. Like they're just refusing to take these interceptions that you are trying to give them. And then we saw, I mean, yesterday was just it was such a throwback to the Sam Darnold who just looked uncomfortable, who was
Yeah.
jumpy and like was holding on to the ball too long and looked like he didn't know looked like he was seeing ghosts, looked like he didn't know what he was doing, looked overwhelmed. And
Yeah.
that's the thing is all year long, Gary, he just hadn't looked that way. Like he looked in full command and he didn't look that way over their last two games. We gave a lot of credit to the defensive coordinator for the Lions and Aaron Glenn and just calling a great game. But the Lions clearly broke Sam Darnold. So I feel, and now he's not going to get broke off. I mean,
Mhm.
is there a TV show or anything in pop culture, Gary, that started out as like incredible as Sam Darnold did and then just took a total freaking nosedive off a cliff?
Well, I mean, obviously, everybody's first reaction is going to be Game of Thrones.
Ugh,
That's going to be everybody's knee-jerk reaction, the way the Game of Thrones started in the first 7 seasons, and then it tailed off and did a complete nosedive into the ground, which I think, oh, hot take from Sarah. She's kind of going through it right now as well. Ted Lasso.
wow.
And I can't speak to the
Haven't
credentials
seen
of Ted
enough.
Lasso because I only did the Apple TV little trial. Hey, here's 6 episodes. And hey, if that's an indication of how the series ended, I'm happy with having just watched the first 6 episodes because I got my fill. I think it went great. But yeah, definitely Game of Thrones, L.
I was gonna go Lost. Remember the TV
Oh,
show Lost?
okay, see, Lost, I started and I didn't get through. I didn't get through Lost. I got to about the point where they found the other civilization in the jungle.
Yeah, well, the thing with the reason that the comp for me is Lost is because Game of Thrones started out hot. Like I thought Game of Thrones was great from the beginning, and then to your point, they rushed that last season and it just was an absolute mess. Sam Darnold was one of those situations where it was like we thought we knew who he was, right? Like when Lost started, we were all like, "Oh, they're in purgatory." That's what all this
Mhm.
is. They're just in purgatory. They all actually died on that plane crash, and this is purgatory, and they just don't know that they're dead yet. And Lost kept telling us that's not true. That's not true.
Wait,
Just
don't
you
tell me because
wait.
I'm eventually
Just
going to
you wait.
watch it.
No, you're not.
Don't, no, don't, hold on. No, no, hold on, L. For real, don't tell me how it ends because it's like
Gary,
on my
absolutely
to-do
not.
list.
No, there is no moratorium on getting to reveal spoiler alerts 12 years after the fact. Absolutely not.
Wait, so were they in purgatory?
I will reveal to, well, that's essentially how it ended. It was them being like, yeah, they kind of were in purgatory. It's like, we told you. We told so the Sam Darnold haters We're like this whole time, we're like, I'm telling you, you all think you're seeing something that you're not seeing. I'm telling you, he will reveal himself to be the same person we thought he was, and that's exactly what Lost did. We just for
Okay.
years kept going, it's not purgatory. It's not purgatory. And then it was purgatory, and it just was annoying. And so I think that's the closest comp.
All right. Well, listen, when I finish Elle eventually, that's something that it's on my to-do list when I hit my 40s. So in about 2 more years, I'm gonna report back. This is gonna be a full circle thing. At the end of the day, Elle, Sam Darnold still finished the regular season top five in passing yards
Mm-hmm.
and top five in touchdowns. He is only behind
Mm-hmm.
Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff, and then it's Sam Darnold, which is crazy in terms of touchdowns and then in total yards. And this is what GMs are going to want. The Las Vegas Raiders of the world, the Cleveland Browns of the world, who are going to want a veteran quarterback, are going to look at Sam Darnold throwing for 4,300 yards last season, only behind Burrow, Goff, Mayfield, and Geno Smith, which I think is sort of the perfect comp in terms of what kind of deal Sam Darnold might get from one of these teams who just needs kind of a bridge guy, right? Like a 3 year, 90 million, 3 year, 100 million, which if you think about it, obviously $30 million is a whole ton of cash. But for a quarterback, that's getting one on the cheap. So Sam Darnold's still gonna get 100 M's somewhere. I just don't think it's going to be Minnesota anymore.
It's definitely not. I think that Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold are going to be fighting for those same jobs. You
Yeah.
know, and it was interesting because my husband
Pittsburgh,
today wakes up and goes,
Cleveland,
yeah,
Vegas.
yes, Vegas, all of those guys that need a bridge guy that aren't super impressed with the quarterback crop that's coming out in this draft or aren't choosing high enough in order to make an actual impact. They're all going to be in the running. Saints, right? Like they'll all be in the running for one of these sort of bridge guys. So to your point, Sam Darnold is going to make some money. Like he's going to get some money somewhere, but he could have got it right there in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And where I think working with Kevin O'Connell was instrumental in revitalizing his career too. So it's a little bit like the timing was great for Sam. He showed
Yeah.
enough that he is going to get some money and he's going to get money to be a starter somewhere. But you also have to wonder if a lot of that was Kevin O'Connell and eventually some of I mean, the clock struck 12,
Yeah.
So we'll see if there's a
He's only
Cinderella part two.
27 though. He's still younger than Joe
He's
Burrow.
still young. Correct. Exactly. He is. So we'll see. Really quickly, your thoughts, Mike McCarthy done in Dallas, and now everyone wants this Deion Sanders things to happen.
It makes
Apparently,
sense.
him and Jerry have been chatting. I have firmly been on team. I don't know why Deion wants this gig.
Yeah.
Two bulls in a pen are going to fight. And I don't
Correct.
care if Deion is familiar with Jerry and from his time there and their personalities and all that. I do not see that working. In
Hmm.
fact, I actually asked some of Deion's former players, like, did they think, and this was in college, some of his former players, obviously at Jackson State, and I asked them recently, how did they think that Deion would do at a pro level? And they were like, well, it would be interesting to see because the thing that Deion, his real strength is, and the thing he likes to do is really take on a fatherly figure role. And be a great leader of men and young men at that, right? And like they questioned whether that would resonate the same way in a professional locker room
Yeah.
where a lot of these guys aren't looking for father figures. They either
Correct.
already have them or they established them in college and they're just here to play at a pro level. So they certainly pondered that, but also felt like Deion is a guy who is so authentic and real, transparent, and you can really make a connection with Deion. So they didn't doubt that the guys would play for Deion. It was just a matter of the thing that makes Deion who he is, the reason he's had such quick success at Colorado, in their estimation after playing for him, was that he really does take on an invested interest in being that father sort of figure, that role model
Hmm.
figure. And if you weren't looking for that, would you get the same value from Deion? I
I
would
see.
love all the tricks and the storylines and everything, the drama, the soap opera-esque
Hmm.
of it all. But I still just don't know that it's a great fit there. And apparently I'm not the only one. As we heard Troy Aikman say yesterday on the broadcast, he did not think that Dallas was a desirable job as everyone else did.
I see it. It's funny that you mention it that way because I see it exactly the same, but on the flip side of it, Dion has sort of rounded the corner into that the leader of men. Everybody knows him as prime time, and he was that dude with all the swag in the 90s. And all of the kids collegiately look up to him like that. But there's still a dynamic that you can't replace no matter how old and mature and established you become. that with Jerry Jones being the owner of the Cowboys and Deion Sanders being a former player for Jerry Jones, I think you always sort of have that mental kind of under the thumb. Okay, yes, Deion Sanders is a grown man. He has a kids, family of his own, leader of young men. However, you are Deion Sanders, the guy I used to pay as a player. And I don't think you can just shake that dynamic no matter how many decades have passed. So there, I think, is where lies the power struggle that could be. Deion Sanders wants it his way, and he never shies down from getting things done his way. So those would be very, very, very public blowouts with Jerry Jones. And I just don't think that relationship, either one of them want to ruin that relationship that they've established. And this would certainly fray it. At the first moment's notice of any sort of dissent or issue within Cowboys camp.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Although I would extend that beyond Dion. I think that Jerry looks at anybody in any role as someone that works for him, right? Like you think just because Mike McCarthy never played for Jerry Jones doesn't mean that Jerry wasn't very clear about the power dynamics right
True.
away. And
Yeah.
and I think as much as he would like to be able to, what Dion has at Colorado right now is full autonomy. I mean, he does. He
Mhm.
gets to do whatever the hell he wants. And even if Jerry is promising that pipe dream right now just to get him in the door, I just don't see Jerry
Yeah.
relinquishing control. I don't see it. The attention's even more if you bring Dion in. I don't see any of that happening. And to your point, everyone warned me when I was young. If you want to keep your best friend, never live with them. What happened? I moved in with my best friend and we wanted to murder each other. So yes, like if you want to keep your
Yeah.
relationship copacetic, sometimes best to keep a little distance in that relationship. We'll see how it all plays out. I mean, there's a ton of coaching availabilities at this point in the league, and no doubt Adam Schefter is going to be all over it for us, but a lot of opportunity. We'll see. Mike McCarthy could be the Bears head coach next, right? Like he could be in Vegas. We already know that Vrabel is headed to the Patriots, and
Don't sleep
so
on Belichick leaving Chapel Hill to go to Dallas.
that's not happening,
L,
not
his buyout.
already.
His buyout is $1 million before June 1st. That's it. That's nothing. That's nothing. Bill Belichick could
We
be
heard it
the
here first. Is that what you're doing? You're
Bill
doing the we heard
Belichick
it
could
first.
be the one to those personalities, I think, could potentially offset each other. Belichick is no nonsense to the point it doesn't matter who the owner is. He's just going to do it his way.
But we had linked him to the Cowboys before. And honestly, Mike
Mhm.
McCarthy didn't do enough last year either to elicit not being on the hot seat. If Jerry really wanted Bill, he could have fired Mike last year and the last year
Correct.
before the last year of his contract and brought Bill in. I don't see him now reversing course and being like, actually, Bill, let me give you a call, even though I know you committed to Chapel Hill. I just don't see it.
Hey.
I think that Bill is being genuine when he says like he's going to navigate this college space.
All right.
I just don't see him walking away. You've already started recruiting talent. You've already started getting guys in the building. For him to reverse course in a couple of months, I don't see it. I don't
He
see
did
it.
it with the Jets, Giants, and the Browns.
Yeah, he did
He's
all that before he became Hall of
he's
Famer
done it
Bill
before.
Belichick. Okay. All right.
He's done it before. Anyway,
We'll see. Listen, you'll be the smart guy that called it early if it's true.
come on.
Mark the tape.
As I normally am.
We're going to call it a little early on Unrivaled. Baby, we almost got basketball back, professional basketball, because
Yeah.
women's college
I mean,
basketball has
in
been
three
at full
days.
tilt. Yeah, 3 days, man. The Unrivaled League kicks off. Do you know
This
all
is
about it? Like, do you know the rules and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's 3-on-3. It's a
Mhm.
condensed court. They're playing down in Miami. It's 6 teams, 36 players. Before we get into it, no, Kelsey Plum's not playing. No, Caitlin Clark's not in it, but no, Asia Wilson's not playing. But you got the future of the WNBA, Nafisa Collier, Breonna Stewart, start of the league. Angel Reese is in it, Derek Hamby. You got all of the hitters in this league. And I'm actually pretty excited that this league is the 6 week run up before WNBA training camp starts. You don't have to force these women to go abroad to make some cash. They're all making about $250,000 over a 6 week run, 3-on-3 down there in Miami. It'll be cool. I'm excited.
So when I did a women's conference a couple months ago now, right after the season ended, and Nafisa Collier was there, and Fee, of course, is one of the co-founders, along with Brianna
Mhm.
Stewart of Unrivaled. She was just talking about why it was important for her to start this league, and I thought it made a ton of sense. She was like, apart from not wanting to go overseas There still is just not a specific training regimen or place that people train for women's basketball necessarily.
Yeah.
So she wanted this to be a place where they could go and essentially, as you just mentioned, get ready for training camp, stay competitive, make money, and also have a place to essentially train and get ready for the WNBA season with
Yeah.
other WNBA players. Because right now they sort of hodgepodge what their off season looks like and they're working out with whatever trainer. And this would give them more of a centralized place to be able to do that, some sense of community, if you will. And that was a big part of wanting to do it, wanting to have an environment where they played in the same place every single week so that if you wanted to bring your kids, of course, she has a daughter, if you wanted to bring your family, like you could essentially post up in one place, be with your
Mhm.
family, enjoy some of the benefits of the off season and also stay in shape. And on top of that, continue to work with a lot of the women that you're going to work with in the W as well. So it makes a ton of sense. The action starts on this Friday. As you mentioned, there's a double header. The founders of the league will face off at 7. It's Stewie's Mist playing Collier's Lunar Owls. And then at 8:15, it's the Rose and the Vinyl. The season will run until March 17th, like you mentioned, about 2 months before the W season starts. What I'm enjoying too from Unrivaled is some of the social videos that are coming
Content.
out, the TikToks. You sent me one today with Brittany Griner, and they were doing 2 truths and a lie.
2 truths and a lie, and you have to tell me what the lie is.
I almost drowned 4 years ago. I saved a family from a wreck while off-roading.
I didn't eat a vegetable until college.
Now, it was revealed, of course, that the lie was the vegetable part. She had, in fact, thank God.
Correct.
I was like, I'm really hopeful that someone, an athlete of her caliber, has had a vegetable before. Otherwise, good God, it's all God-given, truly.
Well,
So
I mean,
yeah.
that was one I was like, that might be the truth because you watch DK Metcalf talk about all he eats is a bag of candy and 3 cups of coffee, and you know what I'm saying? Lamar
Yeah,
Odom,
Quinn
all he would eat.
Ewers was a big fast food guy
Yeah,
before yeah.
we work with Randy Scott. All he eats is pizza and chicken tenders. Like it's
Palate of a
he's a grown
12-year-old.
child.
Palate of a 12-year-old. All right, so it inspired us to play 2 truths and a lie. I will tell you this, in attempting to come up with my 2 truths and a lie, when you hear other people's 2 truths and a lie, you realize very quickly how unremarkable your life is. I'm like, I've not really done anything that remarkable that seems, because the whole point of the game is to say things that seem so unlikely and extraordinary that they can't
Mhm.
possibly be true. But ultimately,
Uh-huh.
usually at least one of them is, right?
Correct.
I was trying to come up with my list and I was like,
Well,
I've lived an unremarkable life.
I'm going to preface this with saying a lot of the stuff that Elle would list as truths, she's been sworn to secrecy or she got to sign NDAs or her friends are too famous that she's not
Fair,
allowed to speak about them in a public forum. And I'll
fair.
just sort of leave it at that.
There was a couple that I thought about, and then I was like, I don't think I'm allowed to talk about this
See,
publicly.
see what I tell you. See, I told you, Elle's life is so remarkable that she's not allowed to talk about it. Talk about most of it. Matter of fact, I've probably said too much. Elle, you want to go first then? See, and here's the thing. I was
Yeah, I'll go
working.
first so that your remarkable stuff seems even more remarkable. All right. Mine's
Hmm.
gonna be a total drop off. Okay, here's
Hmm.
my 2 truths and a lie. You tell me which is which.
Okay.
Despite my family having a condo in Vail, I've never put a pair of skis on in my life.
Okay.
My grandmother used to babysit Robin Roberts. I was a junior Olympian in softball.
All right. And it's well noted that Elle and I have been friends for over a decade. So there's a lot that I do already know about you. And I know that you were really good at softball, but listen, both Tony and Clark say your sister was better. That doesn't mean that.
Damn.
Spit take. They were telling me some truths.
They
You've
did,
even
yeah.
said that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're still really good at softball. I'm gonna say the junior Olympian in softball is a truth. And I know you revere and absolutely adore Robin Roberts as an idol, as somebody you look up to. I don't know that you're literally linked that close. I feel like maybe you would have told me that. And there's just no way, again, your family's from Colorado, you got the spot in the mountains. There's no way you haven't at least put skis on. So the lie is either the first one or the second one, but I'm gonna guess the lie is that your grandma used to babysit Robin Roberts. But even though, as I say that, I think you might have mentioned that once before. But that's the lie. Your
Okay.
grandma used to babysit Robin Roberts.
The lie is that I was a junior Olympian softball player. I was not. I was definitely all state, but that's not the same as a junior Olympian.
Oh, what the hell?
I have never put a pair of skis on in my entire life. I have put on snowboard, but never skis. I've never skied ever. And my grandfather was a Tuskegee Airman.
I
And
did.
Robin's father was a Tuskegee Airman, and my grandfather served under her father. So when they lived in Tuskegee, Alabama, they were neighbors with Robin's family, and babysit's a bit of an exaggeration, but she was good friends with Robin's mom, and Robin would play in her yard, and she would, of course, watch Robin if her mom had to go somewhere. So yeah, we do have that link.
Oh, damn. All right. See, I know you're good at softball, and I guess I just didn't know the differences between a junior Olympian and all state.
Let's do Gary's. Okay, two truths and a lie.
All right, here are the three. I saved the lives of two women who got into a car accident during my time in Houston. Their car flipped over, and I flipped it back over. I have met the last four um, living U.S. presidents, current sitting president included. I have a turquoise birthmark on my right butt cheek.
Are we sure that's not a bruise? You tell Abby to take it easy on you.
It's
Ew.
too small to be a bruise.
Okay, so right away, I'm thinking that the four presidents, as unbelievable as that sounds, I know you frequent the White House. I know you've been there for Joe Biden. I'm pretty sure you were there for Obama's presidency. And I feel like you were probably there for Trump's. To me, you said the last four, which would then put you at HW territory, which I might question, but you did live in Houston, and it's totally possible you were at some event. I know that you've had two. It's the four number that is throwing me off, and I don't know if that's true. Um, Saving the two women's life, I mean, that feels like something that you would do. I also feel like that's something that you would have talked about more. I feel like I would have heard about this. However, when you moved to Houston was maybe the one time in our friendship we didn't talk that much. So it's possible it could have happened and I just wouldn't have known. Ah! And the birthmark on your butt thing, I don't know. When you post thirst traps, they're always just of your upper body. Let's see. I don't even know that turquoise birthmarks can exist. So I'm going to say that's the lie, and that the truths are that you saved two women's life who flipped their car. Wait, I have a question. How did you save their life? Would you like jaws of life, rip the doors off and pull them out? Okay, that's the lie. That's the lie. That's the lie. You have a turquoise birthmark on your butt, and you've met the last four living U.S. presidents. The lie is that you helped women out of
Final answers?
Final answer.
Elle, in 2012, when I lived in Houston, I was filling up my gas right outside the Galleria Mall, and a yellow Lamborghini convertible flipped over on Westheimer. And I was pumping gas. People freaked out. I turned around, and there was a yellow Lamborghini upside down in the middle of the road. And I ran to the vehicle, and I got down. It was actually super scary. I got down. The top was dropped on, and this was 2012 before like cell phones are too crazy. I wish there was more video or any video. And these women were like in a down bad situation. So like me and the four or five people who had been there right as it happened, we flipped the Lamborghini back over and like we definitely saved these women's lives
You
for sure.
flipped the lamp. You guys went like beast mode and flipped it like it was a tire.
Oh, we had to. They flipped the vehicle over the median and it was just laying there on Westheimer upside down. And I crawled underneath the car and both of their heads were like, mashed up against the freaking pavement, the street. And I was like, we have to flip this car over, otherwise they're gonna like suffocate or their necks are broken. So like, yeah, it was like a scene out of a movie. We all got on one side of the car and like lifted up this yellow Lamborghini and it boom went right side up. And then just as soon as that happened, here come paramedics and firefighters.
Were they okay?
It yeah. I mean, listen, when we flipped the car back over, obviously the force of the car flipping over was like boom, boom, like sent them into a bit of a whatever, but they were alive, they were alert, they were breathing. And then I went back, filled up my gas, and Went about my way.
Look at you, superhero.
Hell, just a straight up, just a hero. Don't
So
want to
then
talk about it because heroes like I just answered the Call of Duty.
I see. Look at
Yep.
you. You
The
went from
other
playing Call of
truth,
Duty to answering the Call of Duty and
yeah,
saving people's lives. Well, so then the birthmark is the lie.
the birthmark is actually the truth. Hell, look, Google this right now. Google this. You can literally Google it. It's called a Mongolian. I think it's
No,
called a
I know what
Mong.
a Mongolian, yeah, Mongolian spots. I mean, a lot of black kids have it. Eva, when she
Yeah.
was born, her entire butt was blue.
So okay,
For like a year, she had
and
a
it's gonna go
completely blue
away.
butt. Yeah, and we
My
had to
turquoise
explain when we
birthmark
would,
hasn't.
yeah, when we would take her to daycare, we would have to explain that they weren't bruises. It looked like we beat her. And we'd have to be
Oh,
like, this is Mongolian spots. These are not bruises. Like, please don't call
yes.
defects on us. Like, we didn't hit our child. She was just born with these with a blue butt. She had a straight up blue butt. You have a blue butt?
I have a Mongolian spot, and I thought I was like, oh, I'm the chosen one. And then I went to a dermatologist, like probably when I was in Dallas, and I asked about it, and they're like, yeah, so those could lead to cancer. They're generally benign. I was like, damn it, I thought I was the chosen one. So yeah, I have a little turquoise birthmark on the booty, which is the truth.
All
Um,
right, prove it.
I know. Like I'll send you a picture. I'll offline you, L. It'll be a really zoomed in pic.
So, what if we learned about some of these unrivaled storylines in the vein of Unrivaled, which is coming on Friday? Some of the more ratchet, I guess you could say, or unrivaled storylines in sports, like Zion showing up late to the team flight. What?
Yeah, suspended for a game. And I don't know if that picture on Twitter was for real. I'm guessing it wasn't. Actually, you know what? I know it wasn't. All right, AI is getting out of control, but people obviously jumped at this opportunity to tweet a picture of him in the Wendy's drive-through, and the drive-through worker at Wendy's took a selfie, and it was time-stamped, and that's why he was late to the flight. But I would believe that, but I did the Pelicans highlight when they were in Boston and lost by one, and that was one of just 8 games Zion has played this season, 40 games into the year, and my dude is he hasn't played a lot, but he's looking thin and chiseled. So I don't think the biggie bag is in his rotation right now.
Exactly. That's low hanging fruit, like picking on Zion and being like, oh, he must have been getting a cheeseburger and that's why he was late. It is inexcusable, though. He missed 27 games because of that left hamstring, and then he comes back on Tuesday night, looks great, scores 22 points in 28 minutes. Um, it's inexcusable to miss team activities or to be
Hmm.
late to them. You're the face of the franchise. They've been incredibly patient with you. And like the very least that you can do if you can't be out there contributing with your team is making sure that you're showing up on time. It's just being a
Yeah.
professional. He acknowledged it. They suspended him a game. I keep it moving. To me, AJ Brown reading a book on the sideline was so wild to me. Like I couldn't tell what the point was. Like I couldn't tell if it was AJ just sort of, shenanigans and being silly. If he was trying to say that this game was as boring as we were all saying watching it, if he was saying that he was so bored in this offense because he wasn't getting targeted that he decided to read a book. Like I don't understand what the point was. I'm just going to say I think people largely let him off the hook here. Like it
Yeah.
became a meme and it was funny and it was silly and everyone's having a great time with it, but it felt like an unnecessary distraction. Like the Eagles, almost it's like the Eagles are so bored of just being good that they just need to just ratchet up
Hmm.
animus by doing dumb shit. Like if it's not AJ reading a book, then it's Nick Sirianni like trying to fight fans. I'm like, why can't you just
He's OD.
go in, win a game, go home, live to fight another day? Like this to me was just a little odd.
3 targets, 1 catch, 10 yards, first game back for Jalen Hurts. Everybody was making fun of it, ha ha he he. And then James Palmer, formerly of the NFL Network, he tweeted the excerpt that AJ Brown says he references, and it's when he's like finding himself down in a bad way, and it basically helps him like calm down and refocus.
Oh,
So I don't know. I mean, obviously a big part of this. Nobody's ever accused a wide receiver of not wanting attention and the ball and being the divas on the team. So I think that both buckets can be filled here, and that AJ Brown, this is me, about me. But him opening to like those excerpts in the book to like hopefully or maybe refocus him or recalibrate him could also be true. But it just seems a little OD because they won by double digits and you're going to the divisional round. Like, come on.
Well, the book is called Inner Excellence. No surprise, it's now #1 on Amazon
Hmm.
because people are ridiculous. But it's an excellent point that I had not heard. Like if he says that that's like what centers him,
Yeah.
if his strategy is to pull a book out that reminds him to breathe, center, to not go off, to not act crazy, to not get in his quarterback's face, like more power to him and I'm with it. It just felt like at the time, the timing of it, it felt a
Oh,
little
timing
bit
of
like,
it
oh,
couldn't have
we're
been
just
worse.
right. Like, so we're just
Optically,
gonna
could not have been worse.
the optics, and there it is. Like sometimes the optics of it are a little bit like, what are we doing here? You're really just gonna
Correct.
like read, you're just gonna read a book in the middle of the game. Like
Correct.
maybe you could be like, maybe be like reading some coverages just to like see maybe how you
Pull
could
out the
get more
Microsoft
open.
Office or the Microsoft Surface and take a look at some of some of these coverages. But that was after Jalen Hurts overthrew him, which would have been an absolute house call. He had
100%.
double coverage. Yeah.
Would have been a house call. That's a great point. If he is reading this book on his Kindle, we all think that he's just looking at plays.
Looking
So
at
like
tape.
maybe right, like maybe cheat code is like just put that on your Kindle reader, and then that way it looks like you're,
Yeah.
invested in the game.
Uh-huh.
But you're still getting some of the strategies that you need to get through it. But again, I imagine Jalen Hurts would prefer this version of AJ Brown too, who goes and centers himself and takes a moment, as opposed to the one that's like, why the didn't you hit me? I was wide
Just
open.
barking down. Yeah.
So now the matchups are set. Houston at Kansas City, Washington at Detroit, LA at Philadelphia, and then Baltimore at Buffalo. Man, that's going to be a good game. We're going to preview the whole thing in a couple of days here on the show. We'll bring you a show on Thursday this week. We'll also get you set for the CFP National Championship, where I will be heading. I will be holding down the concerts over the weekend in Atlanta. And let me just
Glorilla,
say,
right?
Glorilla is out because she just got the nod for SNL.
Oh, for
Sliding
real?
in for Glorilla, Gucci Mane. Oh my God.